Welcome back, everyone, to the LCS Academy powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi and Desrex yet again. Surprise, surprise! We are here just after the first game of our last series, which was a very interesting one in its own right between TSM Academy and Immortals Progressive Academy. But before we get to the conversation, again, as is tradition, we got a little bit of halftime show. We got a new one today. I'm excited to experiment with my guinea pigs for the day on my birthday. It's also my birthday, so don't judge me too hard. But I've got a game called Dodge, Duo, or Dopamine. And this one is, I have chosen four trios of players. Sorry, the three always messes me up. 4 trios of players that have played on this Academy stream today. And you're going to have to decide when I present you these 3 players who you would dodge if you saw them in your lobby, who you would want to ask to duo with you so they could carry you, absolutely, or who you get a little dopamine hit when you see them in your lobby because you'd be happy to game with them. You'd be happy to have them there. So you guys ready? You guys get the premise here?
Yeah.
It's a la another game that I cannot say on broadcast. So,
Bed in your head, right? Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like the difference that I'm going to be going with here is the dopamine for me is I would play with them in a 5-stack, but I wouldn't necessarily duo with them.
For me, okay. I would add them on my friends list. I would add them on any other
But then ignore it every single time they invite you to a game, Eric? Is that what I'm hearing?
Ignore. It's called AFK,
do we need
away from keyboard. You'd have to learn it, Josh.
Do we need to have a chat? Do we need to stop the halftime show and have a talk
here, guys?
Cubby,
do we need to...
Cubby, where are you at?
I'm down to cut out the halftime show and we'll have a real talk here between you two. I mean, what do you think?
Couples therapy, yeah. Please.
We got
okay. We want to do
couples therapy is a different stream.
all right. Yeah, we'll make sure. But anyways, back to that later. Let's start with my first trio of players. First trio is going to be, would you dodge, duo, or dopamine, Darshan, Triple, or Ayla? You guys can have a couple seconds to think about it. I've tried to get some hard combos to decide between. I think I've gotten some pretty good ones. So to start off, again, who would you dodge, duo with, or get a little bit of a dopamine
Darshan,
hit?
Triple, Ayla?
Darshan, Triple, Ayla.
All right, I got you.
I got mine ready.
All right, Joshi, what do you got?
Are we doing my whole thing, or are you going to ask like each category for each separate?
No, go with all 3.
Okay.
Go with all 3.
I'm going to dodge Triple. I'm going to duo with Ayla. I'm going to get a dopamine rush from Darshan.
Oh my god, why would you dodge Triple?
Because you gave me Darshan and Ayla, right? I have to pick one.
Oh, come on. No other analysis besides that.
Ayla is my favorite player in the entire Academy season. Of course I'm going to duo with him.
I got you, Mazel. I got you. No worries.
All right, what you got, Desiree?
I got dopamine Darshan. I completely agree with that one. He's got the voice of an angel. Why wouldn't I
You're
want
gonna
that?
dodge Ayla?
I dodge Ayla and I duo Triple. Let's go.
All right, well, you gotta explain yourself now. What is it, just to spite? Did you originally go into it saying you were gonna duo with Ayla?
No, it's because Triple CLG. They sent me a jersey, all right? So that's it. That's all I got to say now, all right? That's
you just need to buy his loyalty?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. That's the heart of every broadcaster, right? Like, I mean, come on, Joshi, I know you.
I got to
give me a jersey.
I see you. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I love the answers we got off the first one, but as we said, Ayla's already off the table, so Joshi might have a little bit easier trek this far. So my next trio that you would dodge, duo, or get a little bit of a hit of dopamine with, Bradley, Anda, or Arrow. Which one of those 3? Give y'all a second. Man, I know. I'm glad I don't have to choose between these because I would have such a hard time to choose who to dodge.
I'm good.
But all right, let's hear you, Joshi. What you got?
I got to dodge Arrow. I got to dodge Bop. Right. Joey even said it right. Prime Arrow was on KT.
Oh no!
But I'm gonna duo with. I definitely get the dopamine hit from Bradley. He's definitely just like the dopamine kind of player. But if I'm trying to win, I gotta duo with Enda, man. He's been so consistently good in all of the games that we've seen him on Academy so far. I'm chasing the dub. I gotta climb back in the diamond.
Dodge
Going
and
back into diamond. Dodge and you just go
No,
and
I'm
counter
joking, I'm joking,
Joshi every time.
I'm joking. I
Just
had the
rock,
same
paper,
exact one.
scissoring me every
What
time.
do you got?
I had the same exact one as Joshi this time.
Same exact.
We've already talked about Bradley, coming over for Thanksgiving and whatnot. So the dopamine's there. Arrow, I have a feeling he's going to troll me the entire time, and Ando would just boost me. That's it. I don't got to do much. I got a Lee Sin in the jungle. I'll let him do everything.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our third trio. Our third trio will be: will you dodge duo or get a dopamine hit with, Smoothie, Chad, and Armeo? That's a really tough one. I feel like.
That's actually a tough one for me.
It's a really tough one. We have
Wait,
some great
Chad,
players in
Armeo, and
Chad.
who?
Chad, Armeo, and Smoothie.
Don't you dare dodge Chad. Don't you dare
not
dodge
dodging
Chad.
Chad.
All right.
The-
I might have ignored his
obvious
DMs, but,
dopamine
talk
has
about
to be
it on
Smoothie,
stream. What are you
right?
talking about?
Oh no! All right, Joshi, you ready? You
I'm
need a
first
couple
again?
minutes?
Okay. No,
No,
can
I
do
mean you
this,
don't
I
have
can
to.
do
I'm just
this.
checking if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna dodge Smoothie. I'm gonna duo with Armeo, and I'm gonna dopamine Chad, man. Like Chad's there for the good time. He and I go way back. Esports Arena. Eric was there too, right? We got to see him just hanging out, beating up on a bunch of gold and platinum players. It was not close.
Oh my god!
But it was still very hype. We always just knew he would play the cards. He could just run over everybody. But if I'm just trying to get that rock solid LP, I got to go with the #1 jungler in Academy, Armeo.
He's stealing my answers. He's stealing my answers.
Are you going same again?
I'm going the
Okay,
exact
you're
same.
talking about reconciling your differences. We didn't need a therapy session,
Yeah,
but
we just
apparently
need to play
this
this
is
game.
the therapy session.
Exactly. I stand the same way. Dodge on Smoothie. It's more because Armeo is just that good, man. You see the way he plays with Team Liquid. He's carrying 4 other members to all the way to championships. Yeah, get me that. I want a duo with that. Chad is just fun, man. I've already chatted with him a little bit in the DMs. He's just a fun guy to talk to. So, that's just someone I want to bring home to mom. You know what I mean?
Also, his
Bring
Discord
up the
profile
ball.
picture is of a dolphin.
True. I gotta cut in here. I wasn't gonna answer. Smoothie, if you ever watch this, you'd be my dopamine hit. Shout outs to you. Anyways, gonna go to our last trio here. Dodge duo dopamine. Oh my god, I missed them. It is Chad, Surdy. Wait, what?
Chad again.
Why is Chad on there? No, it was pretty.
Oh,
Sorry, I had it on.
okay.
Yeah, I messed up my lines. It was pretty, Surdy, and tactical.
Pretty
Who do you guys-
tactical.
Yeah, pretty Surdy, tactical. Dodge, duo, dopamine.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Joshi, what you got?
I'm going first all 3 times. Well, I want to hear Eric's answers because he's just been like, same.
You said you're ready first, but
No.
all right, fine. That's right. You go.
I'm fine with that.
He's
I'm
just
fine with that.
copying my answers.
Yes, he is. He absolutely is.
I'm going to dodge tactical.
Damn it.
My dodge right
Ooh.
there. That's the one I'm going to put down. And,
How's it feel, Joshi? How does it feel?
Now I'm gonna look like I'm copying
now
him.
you're copycatting. Now you just gotta get the teacher all over the place. Anyways,
all right. Let's see if it's a true copycat. Duo, Surdy.
Ooh. Interessante. Okay, and then
Obviously, dopamine pretty.
pretty. All right, Joshi, what do you got?
I'm gonna have to copy. I'm gonna have to copy.
Copy.
I'm gonna
You
have
are
to go right
copycat.
with the
Copy
same
my homework
thing.
at least.
Wow.
Make it look a little bit different.
Yeah, like you
I
gotta
feel like
fudge the numbers.
I feel like Pretty is definitely the kind of player like having talked with Jet. He is a very, he's always seemed very straight laced when I've interacted with him, right? And still, my favorite thing is how he talks about how he doesn't have like a photo smile. Right, he still needs to kind of develop it in order to get all the social media down because he's always just kind of got the, kind of like a what do you call it, RBF, resting B face, and he just kind of sits there and just very serious.
Okay.
Always kind of like slightly angry looking, but he's not. He's just that's just
not?
who he is. That's how he looks. Whereas Pretty, he's just like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm the best ping pong player here.
Well, that was our first crack at Dodge Duo or Dopamine. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun trying to pick your guys' brains on who you would get. But we do have a little bit of clips to look through from last game to kind of catch us back up to zone back in to the final game of the day, and it was a bit of a wacky one. That's the word I'll choose, Joshi.
Wacky, is that going to be your next Yordle word? It's only 5 letters though, so
It's only 5 letters. Wackies with an S at the end.
Ew. Ugh.
Wackies.
Wackies. I don't like that at all. But TSM, it definitely just felt like, for the most part, they were just better today, or at least in this first game, right? They just controlled vision. They were able to catch up members of IMT. And IMT, they never really were able to like set up a big fight. The only time where it looked like there was a big fight was realistically a pick that TSM overextended trying to turn things around a little bit better. And most of the plays, most of the action was dictated by TSM. And when you get to choose the plays, you're generally going to have more success just because you're the one choosing whether or not it's a fight you want to take.
But I want to point out, it's early gameplays again. If Chad doesn't get presence in the early states for Immortals, it seems like Immortals don't really get anything else going for them. And this was so heavily off of Anda really scouting out where Chad was going to be, right? The moment he saw Chad in the bottom lane, he stayed there for so long, and Anda's just taking away camps, stealing away so much. It translates into lane priority because topside, you have Soul doing fantastic. Now you have control of the topside jungle. Things flip once you have Tactical and Mia starting to do well, and you transfer all that takeover pressure to the bottom lane. Suddenly, the jungle just doesn't belong to Chad anymore.
Exactly right. We saw it with Kevy too earlier in the day, where he was trying to spend a lot of time trying to make these plays work, and if they don't work, well then, yeah, you don't end up doing a whole lot. And that's the thing that I want to see from Chad, right? When he's on more aggressive champions, he tends to look a little bit better because he's trying to do things much more aggressively than we have seen him do before, right? The Trundle, this is his third time playing it, maybe his fourth time. 0% win rate still on it. I want to see him back in the Rengar, the Viego, the Graves, the Wukong, things that will allow him to have a bit more agency instead of just trying to control the game, because that's not the Chad I know.
Yeah, I wonder about that though, because also just a little bit of a point is like Soul showing up huge in his resurgence into Academy. I think for TSM Academy, you're starting to see why that original, Academy squad that came in was so potent, with Soul having a lot of the driving force forward. And I guess, do we see, Josh, a continuation of TSM's kind of force through the top lane and force through everywhere else, or do we see IMT actually find a way through Chad and through some stability potentially?
I mean, I think Immortals needs to go back to comfort, right? You need to put them on champions that they don't need to think about at all. You just allow them to think about the game in a larger play, even if it's not necessarily the most cohesive composition. We got to see this team kind of figure out how to win again. We got to see them re-earn their confidence so that they can look good come Proving Grounds, because they have a tough next couple of games, right? FlyQuest and Dignitas are both supposed to be stronger than TSM. You can't go into those with no momentum.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts, especially going into the last game here, Desrex?
I want to see at least more early gameplay that is not revolving around whether Chad makes a successful play or not. I want to see the rest of Immortals really pop off here. It just can't be contingent on that jungle play.
I got to see another pretty Talia game. We'll see if we get everything we've all asked for and more in our final game of the day. Champ Select is ready. So Joshi, Desrex, take it away.
You know what? I would like to see another Talia game as well. I really like it when Purdy is on that champion. We made a reference to it on the cast when he was able to bring back a lot of games from Immortals by just camping out in a bush and seismic shoving the right player, but it's just not going to happen, Josh. We just don't get to have our fun.
Yeah, so we kind of have to think about like what has Purdy actually been having success on, because so far, just as we saw, the Trundle has not been particularly good for Chad thus far, right? He's typically been playing much more successfully on the Wukong, on the Viego, but the Wukong nowhere near as strong. And if you look at the next most successful thing for Purdy, it has been the Zoe, but Zoe's tough to blind. I feel like the only player we're really seeing blind it in this day and age, well, there's a little bit from Marioma, but also coming out from Doxa, who's currently in the amateur scene. And so if this Azir gets locked in, it's actually a perfect time for Purdy to try and lock in the Zoe, try and make these individual plays and become the playmaker, become the carry that we know he can be.
We'll see if they choose to go for that. Takeover is on the Azir, and Takeover does look good on the Azir. This is something that TSM pulled up in that first game. They were very happy with this duo when it came to the carries, having the Azir and the Zeri on top of that, but I'm looking for that mid lane pick, Josh. Exactly what you said earlier. Zoe's one of them. That can be big. Now, Purdy has played the LeBlanc. I still like this more than some of the other champions because it's a champion that has hands and can show that skill expression that Purdy's known for.
Exactly. And Pretty is an incredibly patient LeBlanc, which can pay off really well if that's what you need to do. But he's not a very proactive LeBlanc, and that's one of the big differences that we always look at. Is Pretty will wait that extra 20-30 seconds trying to see if Takeover or Tactical will move a little bit too far forward. But then that puts the onus on TSM to not make those mistakes. And if you just play relatively passively up against Pretty's LeBlanc, he tends not to do a whole lot. And that's where we look at Immortals. You said you don't want to see it based on entirely around Chad. I feel like so far it kind of has been, right? It kind of has to be, just because the only other person who's like making plays has been Joey.
Well, I shouldn't say around Chad. I should say more clarifying that it's around the first play that Chad makes is when we start to see Immortals start to fall apart, right? So I don't want to see that to be the case here, but I do like what we're getting right now out of Immortals. Kind of spicy to bring up the Azir. Arrow's going to be playing that one on top of it.
Yeah. So, you know, TSM, they already have an incredibly powerful backline. They have something to reset with. Now they need ways to actually get fights started and or protect Tactical. So the Yuumi ban, a little bit surprising. I would have expected that that's something that Mia would have enjoyed playing in this composition. And of course, you know, I hope there's going to be some people out there, but most people don't enjoy playing Yuumi, so I don't blame them for wanting to take it off the table. But at the same time, if you look on the side of Immortals, they are very fluid in the way that they want to play, right? They have LeBlanc trying to find assassinations. You have a lot of wave clear coming in from Arrow's Sivir. Then you have Chad, who has pick tools. And so Immortals, this isn't necessarily comfort when I look at it. It's mostly just a bunch of champions that aren't necessarily going to be trying to do the same thing, that need to be very strong in order to make it happen.
But if they can get strong, the enabling there for Immortals is big. Looking at Sivir, lots of wave clear, can keep that wave perma-shoved in, free up the LeBlanc, great assassin to have, can get onto that backline and try and stop Tactical from propping off onto this area. And of course, Poppy just does Poppy things. She's hot right now when it comes to the meta, but a lot of that is stifling the mobility of champions like the Zeri. So if that lockdown can come in from Immortals, it is significant as this draft does continue. More bans now targeting the top lane is going to be TSM Academy, banning away the Fiora. Solo lanes yet to be picked up for Immortals Progressive Academy.
Yeah, and so looking at what is left, I almost wonder if Soul is going to be taking away the Yone here, because it's definitely the most successful thing that Vital has been playing thus far.
Oh,
and
hands down.
Oh,
yeah? Hands down.
Hands down, yeah. He's been looking quite good on it, but as the Leona does come through, if they do end up blocking this, it would solve some of TSM's problems with actually trying to get some of these team fights started, but it does give Immortals the opportunity to try and pick up the Leona, which gives them another proactive tool. It's something that Vital has been playing quite well on thus far, and so as they look towards the rest of the draft, it is going to be a situation where they are going to be saving counter pick for Soul. And at this point, I'm almost expecting that Vital will just have to go back to the Yone, something he's been very comfortable with so far. And one of the first champions that he played, where I'm like, okay, maybe he can lane.
He's also showed some prowess, looking back. Gwen, Jax, Jace, champions he's had success with in the past. And this is not Yone, this is something very different. Going stock standard onto this. I'm not the most happy if Vital does go this route, but still going to be locked in. I don't feel like it plays truly to what we see from Vital. As paired alongside, it's going to be a Nautilus. Very disjointed this draft feels out from Immortals Progressive.
Yeah, Immortals have picked a composition that doesn't do a whole lot cohesively, to be straight up. They have a lot of tools that do individually strong things, but they don't try to do it a lot at the same time. And so Immortals, they want a very chaotic game that plays into the way that they have found some of their wins. But as we see Soul once again selecting the Gwen into the Gnar, this is a matchup that, again, is historically, I prefer playing the Gnar side of this, right? It's definitely a spot where you can be very aggressive as the Gnar after you get your first item. You can even rush Wit's End in this matchup just to get all the extra movement speed and prevent Soul from playing. And so, TSM, you have a very straightforward. You have a ton of range damage coming out from Takeover and Tactical. You have Mia to get those fights started, and Anda can kind of clean them up. So as long as TSM play this with the same kind of control that we saw in the first game, I'm looking at another set of TSM wins, and Immortals, despite their 2-game wins over Golden Guardians, continuing a awful streak of how they've been able to play recently. I really hope we could see them turn it around, but I'm not sure this composition is going to be able to do it.
I mean, the win condition for TSM, it makes a lot more sense when you look at this draft, as you had said just a second ago. For Immortals Progressive, how do we start how do we start picturing this together? How do we start putting this together in the grand scheme of things? Because we need to find ways that Immortals Progressive do find early game opportunities. I look towards the bottom lane, I see Sivir. There's going to be priority there, right? That's the natural state of Sivir, to constantly push in that lane. But is that really going to be enough here? You are going to be shoved in the mid lane when you're into that Azir matchup versus the LeBlanc. Soul's already demonstrated very, very heavy hands when trying to fight down with Vital, getting that solo kill earlier. I am very scared for Immortals in this matchup, and I'm looking at Chad to play towards that bottom side, at least the area where he will have his priority.
Yeah, and we got to kind of look back or look forward again towards Proving Grounds and where they're actually going to be playing, right? As we'll get a little bit more into that after we get into the game, because it sounds like we're ready to jump in.
Yeah, already ready to jump into the Rift. Last game of the day, Immortals fighting tooth and nail to try and climb those ranks, but TSM holding them down, making sure they're not going to escape the gulag. Everyone's going to have to do the play-ins today.
Everybody has to do it. And so, as Immortals run off, again, they are virtually, if they drop these 2 games, they started off down 3 games. Oh.
Okay, a hook already coming in onto Mia. Lots of early game plays coming out from support face checks, and another one is going to result in the death of Mia. No, a flash, a good angle right there, getting the most out of that wall to cover distance. Mia stays alive, but Ignite down, Heal down, Flash down, all of them utilized from TSM to keep Mia.
It's a lot of summoners blown, but that is an angle in potentially for Immortals. Chad can make some of those early game plays work out. There is a potential dive opportunity, potentially on the 3rd wave, to try and pick up Tactical or Mia now that they are down a ton of summoner spells. But yeah, they are, if they lose another one, they will be 3 games behind FlyQuest with 4 games to play. And Immortals, they have to play up against TSM, FlyQuest, and Dig. And so if you can get those 2 games off of FlyQuest, that's probably the best thing that you can do. But they also have to beat Dignitas. And while we know that there's going to be some changes to the Dignitas lineup, I believe it's already been announced that XU plans to play in LCS this weekend. It's unclear immediately how well that's going to be affecting Dignitas Academy. If Dignitas Academy becomes stronger with the replacement, then Immortals are in a world of hurt.
I mean, always exciting to hear a lot of our players getting called up, but there's always the stuff that happens on the side, losing one of your star players, losing one of the players that you're so used to can be impactful in that aspect. But now looking back towards this bottom lane, a lot of exchanges going off, and it's kind of par for the course.
Yeah, level 2.
Level 2 has been acquired by Joey. Will flash forward onto Mia. Gets the root onto Mia, but Mia is able to sustain a lot of hurt, putting in that Eclipse to get the extra resistances. It's not going to be enough, though, as Arrow will take down Mia and still continue on to Tactical, lowering him to just over 100.
And that's what they were talking about in the house tour, right? The thing that they need to do, they need to more consistently dunk on lanes in the bottom side of the map. And that comes down, right? He has no intention to actually try to take this 2v2. Chad comes down to make sure that nothing is going on. But he throws down the Shroud to create some pressure. But this is just a 2v2 that comes about because of how aggressive Mia was caught out earlier. And the level 2 comes through. But that's this also a spot where you need to know that that is about to happen. You see Tactical, he's not even playing for the fight. He's playing to get level 2 so that Mia can use that W, stay alive for a little bit longer. But that's how desperate the situation is. That's just a counting difference. Mia and Tactical should know that they can't win that level 2.
Yeah, and Josh, that all came off of Mia earlier, burning that flash from the play we saw in the invade. So following through is the bot lane of Immortals Progressive, making sure, knowing that that flash is going to be down, knowing that they can capitalize on it with that early level 2. It's a great start, and again, it does give Chad a lane to play around.
Chad, he already looked down towards the bottom, not going to be falling nearly as far behind in terms of early creep score, as he does look for opportunities to come in towards the mid lane. Takeover has his flash.
Ooh.
It's tough.
There's a lot of buddies right here, but they're kind of low-level buddies this time, and they don't realize what's over the walls, and shows up. It's a little bit of a trade right there. Magic trick show, now you see me, now you see Anda, and he will get the kill onto Joey.
Okay, I knew it was going to be tough, but that was even before Anda pops over the wall. That's the control jungler that you're looking for, right? Always
that was pretty cool,
there.
man.
Yeah. I love that. Starting up the W, flashing to get in range, getting the stun underneath the turret. Suddenly, Immortals looking in disarray. The TSM, even though they lost the first blood down in the bottom lane, they are not going to be particularly far behind in CS, and because they got the play in the mid lane going over towards Anda, Anda is now going to be in another great position to try and take control of the map. He's been so good at this historically, where if you give him a lead, he just prevents the enemy jungler from doing anything.
And the right champion for it with this Viego play being made into the bottom lane. Looking for Tactical. Joey with a nice little Hex Flash will net a hook onto Tactical and send him running for the hills. It's not going to get the summoner spells out, but just getting him to get his recall. Lane control for Immortals still continues into this bottom side, but for TSM, kind of seeing the standard Tactical that we've been expecting to shove in this wave. Trying to get control over there, but Pretty is farming well against Takeover.
Yeah, he's had a lot of control, and Pretty, on this LeBlanc, right, I've always thought of him as incredibly patient, not necessarily going to be making things happen a whole lot, but in the lane, he is starting to take control, and it is a champion where they have had a couple of games on it, right? He's played 3 against them previously, only won 1 of them, though. Oh. Quack, quack.
Lots of small skirmishes coming out.
I mean, this is what happened in our previous game, too, right?
Yeah.
They were just back and forth, hitting each other, looking for ways to try and create some advantages, but TSM were just a little bit better at controlling vision around the map. And I feel like they have plenty of tools to actually make those picks happen yet again, right? You have Mia on the Leona, you have Anda on the Viego, and if they get people to face check them, suddenly they become so much more powerful. And TSM, right, they're not falling behind this bottom lane. Tactical and Mia are still even in CS, going to be ahead as Joey and Arrow roam out.
Immortals will use the priority they were able to establish to start up this Drake, and it's something that Immortals tend to lock down on the regular. They don't play towards the top side too much when it comes to that Herald. First Drake tends to belong to Immortals Progressive Academy. Chad will lock that in, and you can see why. That pressure that was applied from Arrow and Joey works out phenomenally well, but the question starts to arise is, what happens when second Drake spawn? What happens when Rift Herald is back up? What can Chad do then?
And so when Chad starts looking for these plays, you notice that he has got a ton of vision to play with on the bottom side, right? You see 4 control wards already committed from Immortals towards the bottom side of the map. They want to allow Joey and Bop, the bot lane coming through for IMT, to have their opportunity to win these 2v2s, to win all these lanes that they are trying to do across the board. But the fact that they get the first blood, the fact that they're now down in CS is a little bit surprising, right? Sivir is a champion that scales quite well, but you also hope has a really strong boomerang bullet to play with.
Now the support jungle roam coming out from Immortals onto Anda. And this is in the same spot where Chad was denied his red buff earlier. So I can't help but to feel like this was a little bit of a petty move, just coming into the invade. Like, I remember that game number 1. This belongs to me now. I got it back.
Who's the player? It's Actor, I think, is the Academy player that Grapes and I think it was Rude, maybe Smacks were talking about. It's like, you just gotta, if he gets the first 3 red buffs, you win. But if you lose any of them, it ends up going poorly. And so Chad is able to recover that red buff a little bit. But this is a little bit different, right? It's not just going to be Joey chilling with Arrow, trying to win the 2v2. They've accepted that both AD carries are going to be scaling. Joey, first to the punch towards this top side of the map. Only level 4 though, and as Mia comes through, that's an extra level.
This is tough for Immortals.
No rage.
We haven't seen them do that well around these Rift Herald fights, and you can already see why. TSM are collapsing with more people, but a brilliant use of the Keeper's Verdict denies 2 from ever entering the fight. Now the Emperor's Divide going to be used. Takeover over the wall. Immortals. Nice right there. Chad, that ultimate was flush. But we're not done just yet. Tactical focusing on the bot side. Arrow kind of scooting around right here, and it's going to be a 1v1. Arrow versus Tactical. Arrow dancing around his minions. Will use his minions for defense to take down Tactical in the 1v1, but can't get close enough to get that final auto.
Nice play from Arrow, chilling out in the minions, making sure that Tactical can't effectively auto-attack him the entire time. At the same time, huge play coming through from Chad, knocking away everybody on TSM so that they can isolate Soul out, keeping both Mia and Anda out of the fight. They go wee, way over there, and Takeover can do nothing about it, right? He keeps himself alive at the very least, but this is Chad now making a play to prevent Anda from controlling the jungle by controlling Anda.
Chad, his early jungle's working this time. We can be proud on that aspect. We can be happy about that aspect. He is the one now doing the invades, now making plays. You know, I still think some of that has to deal with Arrow and Joey doing so well in the bottom lane and allow Joey to roam out with him. But now the agency is there for Immortals Progressive. It's a minute 50 before Infernal spawns. Can they keep netting these neutral objectives?
Immortals, remember, as Pretty starts to look for these plays, as he starts to get the damage necessary to pick off members of TSM, he actually has a lot of targets to hit, right? He can hit Enda, he can hit Takeover, he can hit Tactical. Here's Joey. Ooh.
Close. Tether goes out, will root Takeover, but he scoots away in time. Joey looking for plays. Now would be the time to get it, try and get it around this Dragon Timer. So really, TSM can't contest the Dragon fight in the first place.
Well, I mean, there's still plenty of time. We still have a little more than a minute for TSM to start coming in, but if Immortals do take control of the vision as they start to sweep away what TSM have built up in terms of understanding of what's going on, it becomes more and more difficult for TSM to actually walk in. And so, Immortals trying to use that to make a play down here towards the bottom lane, and Tactical needs to be careful, doesn't get caught out, does spot Joey, but that's not Chad.
Alright, Arrow's gonna push in, and it's still gonna be strong priority, the Sivir push. Can't really stop it. It's easy to just clear the wave with the ricochets and the boomerang, as you can see right there. So Immortals holding that down. They're holding down, trying to hold down the mid lane priority. They go on to take over. A good burst of damage with Ethereal Chains. What more setup do they really need to do here? Priority established mid and bottom and getting deep vision on top of it.
I mean, they've done almost everything they really need to, right? They just need to make sure that Vital can come down or that Soul cannot. And both of them still fighting up in the top lane as they keep Takeover low. I think this is all they really need to do. As long as they can keep Takeover from recalling, they should be able to get this dragon.
He is going in with the Zenith Blade onto Joey. So much damage onto Joey. He dropped quickly.
Arrow?
Keeper's Verdict going to be used, and pulls himself right back from the knock-in. My word, TSM not gonna go into the night in game number 2, but pretty still able to get that assassination on the Takeover.
Great stuff coming through from Anda, this time turning it around, having the Nautilus hook, a great timing on the Dredge line in order to pull himself right back, but Immortals had done everything right, setting this up, except for having Arrow there. Arrow is so far away, he's not able to hit, and this is the perfect spot for Arrow to be throwing out the boomerang blades, to be hitting the ricochets in order to prevent the rest of the team from doing anything, because he just does so much AoE damage. Instead, because they're not there, because they're not ready, 2 members already go down. It's only Pretty finding Takeovers. He rotates back toward the mid lane. That gets them anything at all. But TSM, equalizing on dragons, equalizing on kills. TSM were able to win from a position of equality throughout the previous game.
Pretty, I'm gonna let you finish, but Anda just had the best outplay of all time with that last little bit. Joey looking for a hook into the mid lane. Anda absolutely phenomenal. And that's a result of Joey being the first one to go down that gave Anda that reset to go into that Nautilus form. Completely flipping that fight in favor of TSM. Anda's just so phenomenal, man. We've seen it throughout his career. Keep in mind, this is a Proving Grounds champion that's currently facing off against Immortals.
Trying to find his way right on back as well. Oh, Takeover. Barely dodging away. But yeah, Anda, just like you said, has won Proving Grounds before alongside Viper and TSM. Had a incredibly dominant run with that squad on No Org, and even later when he was playing on IMT, he alongside Viper felt like they had so much control over the top side of the map, and they actually played alongside Pretty at the time, and Joey.
So much history between all these teams. That's the nature of it, right? The way amateur works, you bounce between teams in developmental, different teams picking you up, and sometimes you're on the same squad, sometimes you're rivals. A fight breaking out in this top side as Anda heads right over to Vital. Soul gets a bit of chip damage in, but Vital's able to back out in time.
But Vital's also doing a much better job this time around, right? Not having died thus far and actually having the assist to his name. He actually gets to play this game, right? This is definitely a position where Soul doesn't have the lead necessary to really be aggressive up against Vital for a while, and this is pretty close to when Vital starts taking control of the matchup. When he gets the training force completed, Soul doesn't really get to play anymore. That's why I've been questioning this Gwen pick, right? It's very confident, but eventually you just suffer. Okay,
Okay, Chad.
Okay,
Chad. I'm not saying anything there, Josh, please.
Nah, let's move on.
Moment of silence. Moment done. Now, play into the mid lane. Oh, Zenith Blade gonna go out. Mia will follow through, but Pretty too quick with the return of distortion. We're keeping it out of our minds, Josh. We're keeping it out of our minds.
Keeping it out of our minds, not
into
talking
the
about
future.
it. It's kind of crazy how TSM is getting this uncontested because Chad is just right there, right?
Keeping it out of our minds, Josh. Look at Anda. He's taking Rift Herald.
Yeah, good job. Let's go, Anda.
Yeah,
Doing
let's
a good
go,
job
Anda.
controlling things around. Finds another Rift Herald. You know, Immortals, we were talking about how well they were controlling neutral objectives previously, right? Now it has been turned around. TSM were able to turn things around because Arrow not there for the previous fight. This time, Immortals unable to contest the Rift Herald. And so, TSM, as they start to find their way back in, we have to remember that Anda still up quite a bit in farm over Chad. And that's something that we tend to see from Chad, right? When these early games don't necessarily go completely his way, he gives up a lot of farm in order to try and make plays on the map, right? And he gets a lot of scuttle crabs relative to most other junglers because he values the vision so highly. He wants to be in the river. He wants to be looking for these plays. But notice that even now, right, he's like, is there a play mid lane? No. Okay, now we go farm our Krugs because there was nothing else to do. We got to get the money in order to be ready to fight for the next dragon.
Well, that next dragon is coming in 55 seconds. I'm starting to favor TSM more and more as we scale into this one. Already holding a slight gold lead, gonna fight before this Drake does come up. Immortals heard me talking, and they put TSM down. Gonna get a pick onto Anda. Now, there's still time for this death timer to tick up for Anda to return, but priority nonetheless and control of the river to Immortals.
And as Immortals take control, they're also committing Vital towards the top side of the map. Soul has no teleport of his own, and this is when Vital really can start taking control of the matchup, especially once the Hallowed Mist goes down. But the Dragon still yet to spawn, and so TSM can still try and contest for this upcoming Dragon as the mid lane turret goes down. Arrow gets mid lane priority, but they are backing out multiple members, and so TSM aren't worried. Wow, nice distance coming out from Takeover.
Yeah, nice little slide right there. Smooth on out. Gotta like that one. It's the way I slide into your DMs, Josh.
Yeah?
Yeah. But you don't reply to mine.
Usually not. I'm pretty bad at it. I'm gonna be real. You have a good knack for responding or like messaging me when I'm just like so exhausted and like I'll respond to this later. Then I forget.
Well, Immortals can't forget the prize that's ahead of them right now. They're still trying to get out of the gulag, and TSM have been doing their best to deny them with that game #1 victory. Now Immortals going back to those neutral objectives here. They will be able to secure it. Rift Herald's going to go down into the mid lane. Meganar's coming up soon for Vital. We might have a team fight. Keeper's Verdict goes off. Oh, now here comes Vital. Already one push in, but Joey finds the hook onto the backline. Takeover's going to deny it with the Emperor's Divide, but look at Pretty go. Tries to hop in, but doesn't bring enough damage, so he's going to go straight home. Another slam into the wall coming out from Chad to try and get this disengaged. So much movement speed to go on and jet right out of there, but TSM pick up 2 and pick up the Drake. Actually, the Drake goes over to Immortals on that one, so TSM not picking up as much as they did want to, but getting a tower in the mid lane's not going to hurt.
Getting the tower, getting a couple of kills. They are still increasing the gold lead a little bit, but gotta say, this wasn't it, Vital. Oh, I know what happened. He thought he was going to bounce on Anda. Yeah. I was going to bounce. Yeah, that's just unfamiliarity with the character right there, unfortunately. And with that down, you have no front line. You can't really play the rest of this fight out, and it's just trying to get everybody else to live. But as the mid lane turret goes down, TSM still very decently placed for this game. They really just need to worry about Pretty, right? Pretty, so patient, always looking for his ways to get onto the members of Takeover and Tackle, and he's got 3 kills. He's got the damage necessary to take these players down. And as we start shifting our attention from the bottom side of the map towards the top side, as the Baron will be spawning relatively soon. suddenly, as Pretty clears out this wave, he will start moving into the jungle. He will start looking for Takeover, Tactical, and then Soul just be a little bit too far forward so you can jump over, take 2/3 of their HP.
You do it in an instant. It's the classic LeBlanc after all, and 3-0-0 is not nothing to snuff at. Pretty is the player on the squad who's definitely doing the best, outlaning Takeover so far with about a 1K lead. And even in the bot lane, Arrow's not doing that hot. So many assists have been picked up by Tactical. Top of those plates that were cashed in earlier, so Tactical holding the gold lead over there. All the gold so heavily onto Pretty. But with that, we need to see that transfer, right? As you were saying, we need to see him roam out and actually affect the map with that gold. TSM are not really letting them.
No, I mean, so far, Pretty has gotten exit frags mostly, right? As people are done with the play is when he's starting to look for other opportunities. And right now, TSM, as they start to move towards the bottom side, Pretty doesn't have an opportunity really. Like, Soul is one of the more difficult ones for him to actually try and kill, because Soul has a button that's just like, yes, I would like 20% more magic resistance, please. And even if you are within the circle, I am still going to be tankier. So I feel like it's really difficult for Pretty to find much success into Soul whenever they are going to be laning up against each other, and Azir isn't really worried about the Gnar, right? You just have the Emperor's Divide every time Vital tries to jump in, and so I feel like TSM have got themselves into a position where they are much happier with how their side lanes will slowly work out, even if Soul wasn't able to get a good back off, and Pretty will take about half the turret.
So do you get Pretty out of the side lanes? Do we try and get him... Well,
nah, you like
I mean,
the sides.
I mean, and the side lane, he just pick up that tower right there. It's just about the matchup into Soul. If you can find an assassination on the Takeover or Tactical, you can get rid of HP really fast right there. These keep them forced into the side lanes. My only problem is you don't have much economy anywhere else on Immortals.
Yeah. And feels like TSM, they're trying to rotate Takeover to wherever the farm is, but that's 2 times where they just abandon structures, actually. Right, they're prioritizing getting farm on Takeover over actually defending their side of the map, and so as those turrets fall, suddenly Pretty has a lot more real estate to work with. And now Pretty, he's going to be going into Takeover. I thought this was going to be better for them, and so TSM immediately rotating members up in order to try and find Pretty, make sure the Takeover is safe, and now that they see him, they can move into the jungle and get some more vision control down, making it harder for Pretty to make plays.
Steadfast Presence blocks 2 engages. Chad almost in the wrong spot there, but that's the power of the Poppy. You try and engage, and it can be thwarted just like that with the press of a W.
And as this game slows down much farther than we were kind of expecting, it's TSM who are starting to get set up for the upcoming Dragon yet again. Right? And so much of this game has been about the fact that IMT is in control of the Dragon Pit first, and now, looking for Mia.
Chad doesn't have the angle to get onto Mia, but look at Joey right here. Onto Tactical. The knockup from the depth charge will find the back line, but there's no follow-up to be had from Immortals to take down that back line. Now TSM are teleporting in. A lot of resources used. Dredge line burned away. Thrill the Hunt not going to be available. Immortals still trying to hold the line around this dragon.
They are in control as the priority in mid lane goes over towards TSM. The IMT are going to pick this up, and TSM don't have the damage yet to threaten the Baron. This is just another controlling win for IMT as they grab another dragon for themselves. They will be backing out, and TSM feels like this is just a reverse of a lot of the things that they were doing in the first game, right? TSM were controlling the choke points, they were controlling vision, they were preventing IMT from making plays around these objectives, but this time, it just shifted, right? And Pretty is able to create pressure. Pretty, again, patiently waiting for people to come forward. Nobody on TSM willing to take the risks in order to challenge Pretty for these fights. And while TSM will eventually have the range to play with, it's not obvious that they outscale, right? They are still going up against LeBlanc, who eventually can kill even Mia. And also, your Sivir, who are, if you ever have to check one of these corridors, you're just going to get blasted. And Arrow, when he's not playing these AD carries that are looking to be really aggressive, where he's not necessarily going to be going super far forward, he gets caught out way less.
Now Team Solo Mid setting up on this top end. This is where we're going to play at. As we take a look at the Dragon timer, it's still 4 minutes before that's going to be up. We're not going that long into this game. Oh, goodness.
Hopefully not.
No. And Takeover. This is good. This is good. You're getting a lot of gold onto Takeover. He's going to get that solo turret all by his lonesome, all by himself. He'll be able to take that home and say, hey, mommy, look, I did it. And with that income being secured, it gives more of that late game presence towards TSM. It allows Takeover to scale more towards that late game where you need him to show up in these neutral objective fights. I'm going to be looking at the Drake, not the Drake, the Baron that is up right now because Immortals already setting up into this direction, getting that deep vision into the jungle of TSM.
Yeah. We're also seeing one of the... good smite, Chad. We're also seeing one of the issues that TSM's composition has had thus far, right? Because your only face checker has been Mia. They're the only person you can really move in. Mia hasn't necessarily been moving all that well, right? And I feel like this has been an issue on the TSM squad over multiple supports, right? When they had Yursong, when they had Shen Yi, it didn't always feel as though their support was playing with them. And now, he has a little bit far forward, but has no flash and is getting depth charged.
Ooh, right into where the turret used to be. They will take him down. Pretty will be the recipient of that golden Immortals again with these pick plays coming out from the sidelines, enabled by Joey, enabled by Pretty, enabled by Chad. It's small plays that are resulting in a lot of control of the map for Immortals Progressive, but there's not much to be picked up right here other than just that map control. No neutrals onto the table. The TSM are not going to lose out on too much.
I feel like that's been a theme so far of the series, right? You know, individual picks, small gold leads getting built up. And I'm kind of curious, like, who is leading the charge in this style of gameplay, right? My natural instinct is that it's about Pretty, right? In general, whenever you have somebody who's very strong, they oftentimes like transition into shot calling because they're the ones who has the damage. They're the ones who chooses what happens. And they want the rest of the team to play around them. And so I feel like the slower style coming through from Immortals is really playing into the way that Pretty has oftentimes loved to play his games. Even when he's playing on things like the Kalia, he loves to play these slower styles where he just waits to pick people off as they come a little bit too far forward. But it also means as games go long, you know, smaller mistakes become more and more punishing. It's just the kind of thing where Pretty is opting in to say, yeah, no, I won't make mistakes. It's fine.
He's daring Takeover right now. Step a little bit in the wrong direction. I dare you. I dare you. See what I'll do with it. Pretty can come up big with it. I mean, taking out Takeover. Huge thing to be had. That's what Pretty's going to be looking for. Assassinations. Picks onto the side. Immortals play with that so well. Not even going for outright full team fights here. But once they do get to that stage, I mean, they do have presence into the team fight. As you said, looking at Mia. Mia hasn't been doing the greatest so far, and when Leonas are kind of far behind, you get that situation where they just fill paper, or they just go in with the Zenith Blade, and you hope they have their W up in time, because otherwise it's just a complete hop. The Takeover, almost spotting out tactical on this rotation back towards the mid lane. As the setup is coming for this next strike, it's going to be Immortals the first one to the punch.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a good job. This is the third straight Dragon where they are faster, and now Soul needs to be careful.
Soul getting caught out. Out comes the hook. The chain of CC will come out from Chad. He goes golden. You have to stand under the tower if you want to hold the damage onto him. It buys enough time for the mobility to come off cooldown, and Soul will hop away, but the rest of TSM waiting in the flank.
Yeah, and IMT no longer have control over the Dragon entrances. They're the ones who know how to face check, and Soul teleporting in.
He is fresh and ready for the fight. The hot tag now getting popped, and Soul just waiting to get a clothesline on any member of Immortals Progressive Academy that walks forward. Now Pretty's on the flank right now. Doesn't realize Soul's in that bush. Soul hops right onto him and chases Pretty out with those distortions. Double distortion going to be popped off. Pretty not with the squad. TSM still holding the lines here and winning a lot of this early poke battle. Trying to hop onto Soul, but he will only eat one of the mimics. Now Pretty still holding Soul away from the squad, though. Solar Flare is going to go out, and the engage has been called by TSM, but they can't get close enough. No stun going to be found from that Solar Flare. Dragon pulled. Soul over the wall will reconvene with TSM. Now they're back as a 5-stack. Mia pulled right back in with the dredge line, has to flash back out, and the reset on the Drake. Now Pretty has an opening onto these sidelines. A burst of damage onto Soul, and Soul is now hurting, but so is Joey. So is Arrow.
Gotta do something.
Spell shield goes out. A pick coming out from Tactical. Already get the explosion on the one, but the Dragon gonna be secured on the way of TSM. Can they secure the fight as well? Looking to go on to Tactical. Can't get much else. Immortals will get that kill. Pretty finds the assassination. It's a 1-for-1 trade. So tense it was, Josh, between both of these squads. Finally, Dragon gonna be secured down in the 1-for-1.
Yeah, the teleport comes through. We're not done. You thought we were, but now IMT taking control of the mid lane. The teleport vital right on into the fight, and TSM have to run so far away. They get the Dragon. They slow down the Dragon stacking. Oh, hello.
Ooh, this is pretty zone right now. This is the LeBlanc zone. If you're trying to cut off people, they got low health, well, it's time to cash in. Can Pretty get close enough to Mia in time. Mia in that bush. Pretty can't get any of the stragglers that are out there, but this delay is big for Immortals because it delayed those recalls. So much harder for TSM to respond to this Baron.
Yeah, Chad taking a lot of damage, but now TSM knows there's no teleport from Soul. Can Anda get in? They don't see him.
Ooh, Anda's getting closer. He's not spotted out by a ward. Pretty's waiting in the lines, but he can't see Anda. Anda's waiting to jump in. Anda hops in, but Chad secures the smite, and Anda just gets put right into the ground. Immortals, they go for the coin flip, and it is successful.
Yeah, good stuff. They don't have any vision from TSM. Anda has to guess as to how low it is, and he was pretty close. But they catch him immediately. They don't let him have an opportunity to go for this smite, and so TSM continue to find themselves on the back foot. They're not challenging Pretty. They're not trying to challenge the rest of the members. They're just a little bit too timid. They know that Chad's ultimate can break up the fight, can keep multiple members out. They can't afford to take this fight. This Poppy has become so strong. It's not Chad's normal style. Normally, he's the one who wants to go in, but he's doing such a good job at preventing TSM from doing anything.
Yeah, sit back, let Pretty do the work. It's pretty face, pretty damage. He's doing a pretty good job in this game for Immortals Progressive Academy. So Drakes have been picked up. It has put Immortals in a position where they're at Dragon Soul Point. They have Baron. They have control of the map. This is looking really good for them right now. They're getting more kills as they hop right onto Anda, who's on the wrong side of town. There's not enough damage there with just Chad and Joey.
Oh, Pretty! They got
gets
him.
Caught out suddenly. TSM have a fighting chance. Mia, he's going to look for Chad, or is he? Chad's completely isolated from the group, so this should be the pick to be had. So we're going to go down. Wait, Chad, he's finding an outplay. He's finding a way. He's finding a direction towards his team. Only Pretty will go down. Chad somehow gets the escape.
I think Tactical was the one who actually got the shutdown. That's a lot of gold going over to TSM. 900 gold targeted onto one player. TSM, right? Just as we were saying about all the picks earlier, there's no objective to pick up. They don't have the waves pushing out and takeover. Doing a good job checking with his soldiers before he walks back in. But now we actually get to see how Pretty gets caught here. He just thinks he's coming over to the rest of the fight.
The death push.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually wild, right? They saw that Anda was getting attacked higher up in the lane, and you know Pretty was like, there's nobody here. There's no way that anybody that would be here is not already moving over to the fight with Anda. I can come in. But no. They catch him out. They prey on those expectations that Pretty has, and they end up fighting that big shutdown. But they lose this top lane turret. They're trying to find something. From TSM, if you have to go for those kind of crazy plays, I promise Pretty is more patient than you guys are. He will play it even slower to make sure that never happens again.
Ooh, Mia following over with that blast plant. Now the cooldowns are starting to get low for Leona, so using out those cooldowns are no problem, even with that solar flare going wide. It's a short cooldown. Look at it right now, a quarter of the way burnt.
So Eric, got another long one on our hands.
Yeah.
TSM now has to fight around the upcoming Mountain Soul and the Mountain Dragon after that if they don't, if they do get this one. But they control the space right now.
Chad.
Oh, no.
Oh, steadfast presence. Just a little bit of bait right there. Immortals, they're looking for the engage, but back off once they get the teleport out of Soul. Now Arrow and Joey putting on the fancy feet. Arrow's got to be careful. He's frontlining right now, but Pretty from the sidelines goes after Tactical. Damn Charge's going to land on the Tactical. He falls low, but will not fall entirely. Now Soul in the middle of 4. Arrow over the wall. Gets a couple more autos onto him and takes him down. And suddenly Immortals, They're in the driver's seat, and they will be rewarded with Dragon Soul.
Yeah, Chad baiting out multiple members, using the ultimate to knock away members of TSM. They just find an overman fight, and I thought Chad was going to get caught. I was like, no way, this cannot happen again. You are poised for victory. But IMT, they pick up the Mountain Soul. They're now in control, and just watch how they actually isolate Soul over the course of this team fight, right? Oh, just kidding.
Oh. Takeover almost getting isolated. Pretty trying to chase him down. Double distortion could catch up to Takeover right now, and Chad scooting over towards those minions. Another tower down. Immortals are doing it. They don't have to go through the 10 loss streak. They don't have to lose those 5 series again. They're going to find victories in this final week.
Yeah. But again, watch how Soul gets isolated from this. Takeover immediately gets knocked out, and Soul thought that the rest of his team could follow him up as he was diving onto Arrow, but they can't, right? There's just nothing there. They cannot get through Pretty. They will not be able to come through 3v4, and Soul just gets collapsed upon. And that's the power that we're currently seeing coming out from the side of Immortals. They're consistently isolating individual members, and Mia can't do anything about it. Enda being forced to ult on out. Can Mia get out?
Check your remote, check your Twitch channel. This is the Pretty Show now. He has taken over completely 7-1-0 on this LeBlanc. So many side lane plays. 15k gold, Josh. He is so wealthy.
That was close. Just under 15. About 1,000 difference, right? You would think in these spots that the Zoe or the Zeri would be better. What? Oh, they can't get in.
Mia, you're by yourself. It's going to take a while for the rest of TSM to show up. Boom! Vicious Vital slams TSM into the wall. And that's the last one that was needed right there. Just one big play from Vital to make sure that Vital Love is going to be happy. Get a big smile on Ma's face right there for Immortals to close out this game.
And Chad, once again, knocking a key member out. Tactical was the one who had all the gold. He's got 4 items on Zeri, but he can't participate in the fight because he's just not there, and he can't defend 1v5.
In the battle to get out of the gulag, Immortals are fighting with purpose. TSM might be locked in, but Immortals don't want to stay stuck. They'll take this to a 1-1.
They would come back to 2-game difference between them and FlyQuest, and so suddenly their match going to be happening tomorrow means so much more for Immortals. They want to find those wins. They need to get a 2-0. They need to plan to 2-0 FlyQuest tomorrow, and today was very slow. It was not the kind of thing that they oftentimes play towards, but FlyQuest also has been playing quite slow in every series that I've been watching them, right? They really rely on their later game team fights, and so I feel like we're going to be in for a bunch of long ones, but potentially some very close games.
I just want to say it plays very different to the playstyle we're used to Immortals. Even seeing the Poppy picked up by Chad alone, that's already a huge difference from what we are used to seeing on the aggressiveness of Chad. And with that, I love it. I love it. I want to see more of that from Chad. Team-oriented play, enabling his other lanes. We saw what happened when you enabled Pretty. What he was able to do with that LeBlanc, it became the Pretty Show. He hopped from lane to lane to lane, constantly the side lane pressure, if not finding the right flanks.
Yeah. And so, as Immortals find themselves another win, there's plenty more to see, right? I'm excited to see where Pretty will continue to go, if he can continue finding these games, because when Pretty has good games, he has scorelines like this, right? Last score I remember seeing was 7-1, but the amount of pressure that he has on the games, just waiting for people to make mistakes and daring them to come back in, really allows him to kind of separate from the pack when he's on things like the LeBlanc, on the Talia, things that can just one-shot you if you step too close.
Okay, after seeing that massive Mega Gnar ultimate, we are going to have an interview with Vital, the person playing that Gnar. But not after, not before we have a short break, because Mazel has to set up all that for you, make sure he gets everything in line. So be sure to stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. Vital coming soon.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Verizon post-game interview, and I am joined by none other than Immortals Progressive Academy top laner Vital after a clutch Mega Gnar ulti to help secure the win, help set up Arrow. Let's talk about that series a little bit more. Let's talk about the kickoff of week number 7. How did it feel to come in? You were facing Soul in the top lane. Let's hear a little bit about that one.
The first game was a bit shaky. I haven't played in a long time, and unfortunately missed a minion during the leash, so felt a bit sus in the lane for sure. But in the second game, we recovered pretty good, I think.
Yeah, actually, and being able to pull out a 1-1 on the start of week number 7, does that mean something for you? I know not as good as the 2-0 victory would have been, but
Yeah,
I guess starting off on the right foot in the start of the last week of regular season.
We definitely wanted the 2-0 so we can get in the top 6, but it's still possible, of course. We're still gonna try our best against Fly and Dig for the rest of the week, and we'll see where it goes.
So, just want to get one little personal take from you. You're in the last of the regular season. You've got proving grounds to look ahead. How are you feeling, Vital, as a top laner in the academy scene? How are you feeling about your performances?
Work on my laning, for sure. But I think during team fights and all that, with just team play in general, I think I do fine. So, always can improve on laning, I think.
I'd say that's a thing that a lot of academy top laners are looking at improving.
For sure.
But I appreciate
Sure.
appreciate a little bit of that look into. I do want to talk a little bit more about your upcoming competition, as you do have 2 more days of series to go. It will be against FlyQuest Academy tomorrow, and then Dignitas Academy to follow that out to finish out the season. Do you have any thoughts on FlyQuest to start it off?
FlyQuest. I think we're better.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Anything to say about Dignitas?
I think we're better as well. We just have to
There
show
you
it
go.
in the matches.
Okay. What do you think is going to be integral? Is it the communication between you guys that's really coming out in the victorious games, or is it just mechanical skill execution?
I think for sure.
A little bit of scapegoating there. I like it. I appreciate that. Now, I will say, just as a little bit more of a look forward, this will be your first proving grounds on a full academy roster, right? Do you have any thoughts about that next week, or I guess in a week and a half or so?
I guess it's pretty new, I guess. I haven't played amateur really, or not that long, of course. So it's a new experience, but my teammates have been pretty accommodating and helpful. So it's made it pretty easy, I think.
Love to hear it, man. I'll give you one last little bit. Give any shout outs to anybody you want to talk about here before we let you go.
Shout out to my mom again. I know I did it last time, but you know, she's still supportive. Appreciate it. And
Always.
shout out to the other supporters as well who have stuck by me. Really appreciate it. Shout out to my teammates, of course. Again, played really well second game. And they did fine the first game, you know, but stuff happened.
Ever the wholesome guy. Thank you so much, Vital. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for having me.
All right, I'm going to bring back Joshi and Desrex to round out the day, and getting to hear a little bit there from Vital in his matchup against Soul as well, Joshi. Nice to hear
man,
from
a few
the guy.
words. Man, a few words, right? Just, you know, what do you think about FlyQuest Dignitas? We're better.
Easy.
But
Those are the PR answers.
But I still like to shout out to his mom. So shout out to mom. Shout out to my mom, who I know is watching this. And just because of that, I'm gonna change my background to green for Immortals. You know, I gotta get the respect there.
Oh my gosh, is it green? I thought it was teal. You might have to look at that color scheme a little bit more. I thought black
no,
green
it's
was
pretty green. It's
It's kind of green, I guess.
Oh, but Immortals is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But hey,
okay.
we gotta recap the
only
day.
got
We
so
gotta
many
look at what else happened. Oh my God, there's so many colors there. Let's look at what happened across the board. We had a lot of 2-0s in our series, at least. A 1-1 between TSM and Immortals Academy. A 1-1 between Golden Guardians Academy and 100 Thieves Academy. And FlyQuest smashing down on Dignitas Academy there.
Swiper was very confident that Leader was going to revitalize Golden Guardians. Now, obviously, we didn't get to see the game, so I don't know exactly what happened there. But Golden Guardians have now taken games off of Team Liquid and 100 Thieves.
It's that late proving grounds run. They're gonna make it happen, man.
Better watch out. Better watch out. We are into our second to last day tomorrow, though, and we're going to look at the schedule for that one because it's going to be a lot of very close bouts in its own right on the Academy stream, twitch.tv/Academy. It'll start off with 100 Thieves Academy versus Dignitas Academy. Then it'll go to CLG Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy. And rounding it out with Team Liquid Academy versus Cloud9 Academy. That'll be on stream A. We'll be on stream B as well. That'll be twitch.tv/PathLCS. Be, oh, I lost the graphics. Well, we have more games on stream B tomorrow.
Oh, well.
It is a very fun end of the day. Just want to get your guys' wrapping thoughts on the, first kickoff day of the last week in the regular season, Joshi.
I mean, we had some good stuff, but the big thing here is now Team Liquid is 4 games ahead of 100 Thieves and Cloud9. So both teams have to 2-0 Team Liquid for either of them to have a chance at actually catching them at this point. So Team Liquid feels like they are almost guaranteed our first seed going into Proving Ground. So congratulations. Not quite congratulations, but if they win a single game, they lock their spot.
And I'm excited to see our lower-end teams punching above their weight class now. That Golden Guardians win, I mean, this is big right now. You're trying to play to get out of the play-ins or at least get proper seeding for the play-ins. These lower-end teams, whether it be Immortals, Golden Guardians, TSM, they are showing up in this final week.
Yeah, it's I'm just the matches we have in store for us for the final parts of the season are just so good. You got to tune in, everyone. That's going to be it for us for the kickoff of week number 7 here in the LCS Academy. It was an absolute pleasure here to be alongside you, Joshi, and Desrex, the esports engine behind the scenes. Oh, thank you.
Happy birthday!
The esports engine behind the scenes, amazing stuff. Thank you for making us look good. Audience, staff of the teams, the players wouldn't be here without you all. So thank you all and all the love. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Better be ready for some League of Legends action.
Happy birthday to Mazel. Happy